Welcome back to another podcast of Heal Without Harm. My name is Dr. Clayton Dir, physical therapist and the one bringing you the truth about the medical system. Today's episode is over hydration. It is part 3 in the 4-part series of my 4 pillars of health. The first one is exercise, how to exercise, what to do, how often, how much, all of those questions are answered in that one. Part 2 was nutrition, just creating some guardrails for you to follow that is very, very adaptable. It's customizable. It is simple to where you can eat what you want, but feel and look like you want as well. Today's is going to be over hydration. And the next week's, which will be part 4, will be over sleep hygiene. I want to keep these very simple. These are not super, super in depth. It is base level stuff to make sure that you're doing all you can to optimize. And then if you need recommendations or referrals or more specific stuff, then I can provide you places on where to go for that. But ultimately, my goal is to create a quick rubric on what you could or should be following to optimize initially. We're going to cover numerous different topics around hydration today, and I hope I answer the most common questions ultimately. We'll have 4 or 5 sections in this, and we'll get started from here, I guess. So first one is, how much water do I actually need to drink in a day? To me, this is very straightforward. But what I've learned working with people in clinic is not everybody drinks water in general, let alone enough. So a couple different ways you can look at this is a general number that everybody should follow, or you can think of a very personalized number. I would say half of your body weight in ounces is generally a great place to start. That looks like, for me, 185 pounds, so I should be drinking about 92.5 ounces of water. If you want just a solid number that you're trying to aim for, 100 ounces is generally solid, but for some people that is way too much. So if you need to start at 1, seeing how much you drink in a day, find some way to measure it, whether it's the reusable water bottles, whether it's disposable water bottles they buy at the store. I would say if you can start with 2 to 3 bottles a day, so we're thinking 2 to 3 times that 16 ounce, we're looking at 48 ounces of water. Start with 50 ounces. If that feels doable and you want to drink a little bit more, go for it. I would say most people should probably be drinking 64 to 100 ounces of water a day, whichever feels more right for you. The big thing, though, is that will change based off what you do that day. Let's say you're an office worker, you don't work out, it's colder outside. You're not going to drink as much water that day because you're not as active, you're not hot and sweaty, you're not moving around, you're not breathing heavy, you require less water. On days that it's hot, you're a construction worker, and you work out as well, you may be pounding 100 to 150 ounces of water that day, because the more you move, the more you get rid of water vapor through your breath because you're breathing heavy, along with the idea of sweating. When we sweat, we're like literally pouring water out of our body. So to keep it simple, I would say about half your body weight in ounces or 80 to 100 ounces, whichever seems easier for you. The next one is, am I tired or am I dehydrated? And what are some different signs that you can look for so that you know, hey, I need to drink some water? One, if your mouth is dry, you're already a little bit parched. That's a fairly delayed sign that you should be drinking some more water. It is your body's way of saying, hey, I'm starting to get dehydrated in general. Some other subtle signs could be a headache, like a general brain foggy kind of headache, feeling tired ultimately kind of all of the time. And then, of course, if we have dark urine, that is another indicator that we have not enough water in our system. Think about it this way. If we are peeing clear or a very light yellow, that's our body's way of saying, hey, I have so much water in my body that I can actually get rid of some excess. So we're going to pee out some of it. All of our pee will be yellow because our body is naturally always getting rid of uric acid. The yellow will always be coming out. The more clear it is means the more diluted it is with water that your body has decided it does not need. The more clear the urine, generally, the more hydrated we are. It's not a perfect science, but it's a very quick and easy way to pay attention on whether or not we're hydrated. You may also notice if you're dehydrated that you're getting a little bit more cramps. You may feel like your joints are a little bit stiffer. In general, things may feel harder. Your workouts or going up a flight of stairs or going on a long walk, you may notice that all of that is just more challenging if our body isn't hydrated. So those are all some signs that you need to drink some more water. The next one is water versus electrolytes. I think this is a very hot topic right now. There's a big push to consume more sodium and more electrolytes. There's different companies that I know of like Waterboy, Liquid IV, Element, Redmond Real Salt has a relight. There's someone called Salt Sticks. There's Salt Tea. All these different kinds. I think the real big challenge is, do I need it? Which one do I need? How much electrolytes do I need? All of that stuff. I will say, for the most part, for the average healthy individual, the higher the sodium content, it is not the higher chance of blood pressure. There are some links there, but nothing as major as we once thought. I will say, though, if you are an office worker, again, who is not very active, you're 40, 50, 60 years old and you're not that big of a sweater, you probably should not be drinking 1, 2, 3 elements a day. Those have 1,000 milligrams of sodium, I believe 200 milligrams of potassium, and like 60 milligrams of magnesium. However, if you are a triathlete, if you're a runner, if you're a weightlifter, if you sweat profusely anytime you do any sort of physical exertion, you may want to be consuming a little bit more electrolytes than the person who does not sweat. I will say, if you're not having symptoms of dehydration, if you're not having symptoms of low electrolytes, or heck, if you've got a blood test before, your regular blood panels, and they don't come back saying that you're low on sodium or potassium or magnesium, then you may not need electrolytes. I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all. I don't think everybody should be consuming them. I will say it's probably better to consume a half an element than it is soda or a heavy sugary drink or ones like that. But not everybody should be plowing liquid IVs left and right or elements left and right. Ultimately, if you sweat more, if you are feeling dehydrated, if you're going to go on some sort of long, high amount of exertion type of thing, then you may want to consume one of those electrolyte type drinks. I will say Gatorade and a lot of the prepackaged ones have significantly lower amounts of electrolytes, and oftentimes they also have high sugar. So just pay attention to the label. I would shoot for more of a low sugar, not overly sweetened with artificial sweeteners or non-nutritive sweeteners, and make sure that if it says electrolytes, you're still getting 200 to 800 milligrams of sodium, and there's also some potassium and magnesium in there as well. But for the most part, just drink normal water, and then normal amount of like salty type foods. If you're eating a ton of ultra processed foods or a lot of potato chips or snacks and stuff that are high salt, then you're going to have less need for salt, ultimately. Another big one is, do coffee, soda, and food count as hydration? I will say, coffee actually has it hydrates you more than it dehydrates you. The downside with coffee is there's caffeine, and the caffeine is a diuretic, which means it tells your body to get rid of water. It makes you have to pee, right? However, we do know that depending on the strength of your coffee, but for the most part, the amount of water you drink in the coffee itself has an overall, you're getting more water than you're forcing your body to pee out, ultimately. Fruits and vegetables can hydrate you, absolutely. A lot of fruits and veggies, fruits specifically, have a ton of water in them. And so you can consider that, but at the same time, I would just pick a number that you generally want to follow in regards of water consumption and hit that every day. If you know you eat very nutritious foods that are generally full of water, then you don't need to worry about that number being as high. So if you're someone that eats a pretty well-balanced diet with whole foods, 60 ounces of water is probably going to be plenty. I have a 30-ounce water bottle that I try to drink 3 to 4 a day. That's my way of monitoring. It's become very simple. I don't have to overthink it. So that's what I do. And I would say ultimately with these episodes, I want to give you guys ideas. Just take 1 or 2 things away from it and change that in your life. Don't feel like you have to change everything all at once and get super overwhelmed by all of this. I will say that soda, if you do the 0 calorie and stuff like that, they're mostly water. It's like 98% water. So yes, it can be hydrating. Ultimately, I would still recommend plain water itself, but make sure that you're not having highly sugary drinks, because that welcomes a whole nother slew of issues ultimately. Plus that you're going to be consuming a lot more calories and things like that. Lastly, is it better to sip or chug? Timing does matter, but it's not as significant as you may think. I will say there was a gentleman, I believe it was Kelly Starrett. He's a very well-known PT. He said you can't drink 7 gallons of water on Sunday and expect to be hydrated all week. Just like food and water, very similar here. You can't plow a ton of food and then expect to be satiated the whole week. Our bodies like constant intake of water, because whatever we don't use, we will generally pee out. And so the body wants constant water coming into the system. So it's better to drink throughout the day, aka it's better to sip throughout the day ultimately. I will say it is significantly easier to front load your water in the morning. You did just sleep 6, 7, 8, 9 hours with no water consumption. And as you breathe, you are getting rid of water, which is why we're also lighter in the morning, as in less heavy. So I will say in the morning, front load your water. I usually consume anywhere from 16 to 25 ounces of water pretty quickly after I wake up, especially if you're someone like me who also follows that with coffee. Make sure you're getting water right when you wake up. I will say water before workouts is good and then sipping it throughout. And you can drink water before bed, absolutely, especially if you can hold it throughout the night. But if you have any issues of waking up throughout the night having to pee, I would refrain from drinking that much water at all, anywhere from 1 to 2 hours before bed, just to make it much easier. So I would front load that water first thing in the morning and then before meals, with the exception of right before bed. I would not consume a ton. That's still kind of personal preference. And I also believe that everybody has their own research study. So if you try some of these things that I recommend and they don't work out for you, change it back. If you try some of these things and it works out well, keep it in. Very simple. That is all I have over hydration. And I will say, for me, I just assume everybody's drinking plenty of water, especially with all the trends of people having these super awesome, cool, reusable water bottles. But then again, we have patients that come in and they don't remember the last time they drank water. They never finish a full 16-ounce bottle of water. They think that consuming coffee only is enough throughout the day. I'll say none of those are acceptable, and we definitely need to be consuming some more water. So think back through what I talked about in today's episode. Find 1 or 2 things that you can change in your life. And if you'd like, share it to your story. Screenshot this episode, share it to your story, and just let me know, what are you going to be changing about your hydration levels to make sure that you are plenty hydrated, not over electrolyted, and living your ultimately best life. That is the conclusion of our 3rd episode, or our 3rd pillar on the 4 pillars of health. Next week, it will be over sleep hygiene. So please stay tuned for that, and we will have you tune in next week. Hopefully today is another step in you learning how to heal without harm.